Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to just an absolutely fun lineup for USSR. This is my current 4-3 lineup, and you'll notice that this event, BT7, is just an incredibly good light tank. It really feels like an M24 with quite a bit more go and a little bit less survivability, although you might be surprised by this thing every now and then. Don't count on it, please, for the love of Stalin. But the cannon is normally just a lot more powerful than the stat card would imply. And this is the same gun that you find on the, T21 that has the machine gun turrets on front, as well as being very similar to a variety of other Soviet cannons at this tier. And what you get is, readjusting. What you get is a very capable high mobility scout with typically poor Soviet gun depression and just enough bite to make it fun getting into your aircraft, and that's really where this lineup shines. I have the Su-6 Premium. Prepare yourself. I have the Stalin Bolt Premium. And of course I have the B-25 Premium, as well as the TISMA Premium Event Vehicle, and the 4.0 battle rating, a KV-1B, I think? It has extra armor plating on the front and sides, the way you see on the Finnish KV-1. Except, of course, you're playing on USSR, so you face off against the German 75 fairly often. That's not as much of a problem as you might suspect, because it's one of those tanks you can angle quite effectively. But what we're doing now is we're playing Su-6, and we're having just a total blast, as you can tell. This is one of those attackers that kind of slips under the radar for a lot of players, and when BVVD was geeking out about it during the developer live stream before this last major update, I kind of missed the point, but I've tried out the aircraft and then I was like, okay, I gotta get this. It's so fun. And it comes down to the fact that it's basically, it's very similar to an IL-2 with probably worse engine protection, but a good trade-off in low-range acceleration and armament capabilities. You've got a couple of 23s with a fairly generous amount of ammunition, especially in terms of Russian aircraft, and 4, 7.62, I think, rifle caliber Shkas machine guns, which can absolutely shred aircraft and light targets, as you'll see. The cannons as well do very good damage against aircraft and light armor at this tier, and they can punch through the roof armor of most vehicles that you're likely to face, so that really comes in handy. One trick with this Su-6 is to take out the engine of an enemy vehicle with the cannons and then drop a single bomb on them at close range. It's effective and entertaining at the same time, but just look at how this thing moves through the air. It's not quite a turn fighter. It doesn't quite have that level of nimbleness, and it probably falls behind the IL-2M in terms of raw turning ability, and definitely falls short of the IL-10. But again, it's a sturdy platform. It's got just very fun weapons. You can carry rockets with this thing, but high explosive just kind of sucks in War Thunder right now, so rockets are not doing super well, especially the relatively low yield Soviet ones that you can carry. They just excuse me, they just don't cut it. It's been a long day. I was gonna go play D&D, but everybody's locked down right now, I guess. So Kate Brown's telling us all to stay home, and my goodness, we ought to listen to her, right? I mean, she's got to know what she's talking about. Anyway, isn't it weird that COVID makes a resurgence when it's time for people to vote on the president? I mean, it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, bollocks, I say. I'm so tired of politics. I guess I'm just more aware of it right now because of the situation that we're all in, and I've got a skewed view of what's going on anyway, but you know what? I'm just gonna speak my mind because a fool thinks himself wise until he is corrected, and then he gets to decide if he's gonna stay a fool. In other words, it is actually better to open your mouth and let people know that you're an idiot, and open yourself up to the chance of being corrected, than it is to remain an idiot. An idiot being someone who just doesn't know. Anyway, we've got an infestation of whirlwinds down there, as you saw, so I'm going to deal with it aggressively. Bonsai! 10 no Stalin, and, well, we got one of them. Fair trade. Stalin bolts are pretty easy to replace these days, and a nice first place in the team with 12 kills and plenty of deaths. Human wave style. That's deep war for you. Anyway, you saw the results were pretty stupid for that lineup, so that's yet another reason to run Stalin's Golden Sons. And now for something completely different. This is PewPew420, and he's gonna blaze his way through the enemies time and time again. In fact, he's gonna get more kills in this replay than I actually end up showing you, because I got a little bit distracted while I was recording this one, changing poopy diapers and such. Man, I spent all day with my wife and kids today, and my wife said, "Man, today went fast. It seemed like you were always changing poopy diapers." And I'm like, "Yep, that's my life." But I am good at what I do, I tell you. Changing diapers, not so much this. This is just the for funsies stuff. My serious job is wiping butts. And Chunky's gonna be out of diapers soon. She's ready for potty training, so that'll be good. Diapers are too damn expensive, man. Anyway, PewPew420 playing very capably here in his Centurions. I think this is the Cent Mark III, but I could be wrong. Pretty sure it is, though. Anyway, the British Centurion line, or family of tanks, needs no introduction. Windows Defender summary. How about screw off? I don't know when. Anyway, whatever. Sorry, that was just on my end. So, 3 kills in his first death, and he comes back in the mouse house, the old Mickey Mouse turret going on there. I don't know why we don't see more of these bulky stowage racks on the sides of turrets, but it's an interesting look, to say the least. Anyway, this rather odd looking, which one is this? FV something or other, right? Anyway, I kind of like the look of the turret on it. It's almost a mix between a Centurion and a, what's it called? The Challenger? Is that what it was called? Anyway, British tanks, not my speciality, but very, very capable vehicles in the game of War Thunder once you learn where to aim, and it looks like PewPew over here has been doing a fantastic job of hitting those ammo racks, which is generally, yeah, you got some ammo there, but I guess wiping out the crew counted more toward that. And that is the issue with ammo racks that I was about to discuss, that even if you nail one with a high energy round, it's not guaranteed it's going to actually destroy the vehicle. So that's something that's been going back and forth in War Thunder, and I really think that Gaijin is aware of the issue that ammo racks don't detonate reliably, and of course a lot of those numbers are hidden from us, so I don't know, man. I just live here, but I prefer to go for the enemy gunner, and even better if I can get the cannon breach. At least in realistic battles, that's a lot more reliable. And if you can get the barrel or the breach, then the enemy tank has to stop and repair before they can engage you. But sometimes, in fact, I dare say, it's always better to get a one-shot kill if you can do that reliably. And the fantastic gun handling on these British tanks showed off in perfect display here by PewPew really helps matters immensely. You've got huge muzzle velocity, you've got an APDS round that performs very well in game, generally speaking, a laser beam of death, if you will, and to top it all off, a stabilizer that is very, very effective, as you can see. Even better if you can get the flank on enemy tanks like that poor Yagged Panther. Up to 5 kills now and continuing on. And I was going to mention that this replay only has about half of PewPew's rampage here, so we'll enjoy what we can. I had some recording issues because I got taken away from the recording session to deal with some kid stuff, and well, War Thunder likes to throw up a bunch of sidebars every now and then after somebody dies in replays, and I just couldn't bear looking at them. In any event, it's going to be a great match, and this is one of those maps that I used to really dislike, but I've just kind of decided to get over it. I still don't like the map, but there's no point in complaining. It's certainly one that's seen a lot of adjustment, actually getting the bounce on that Yagged Panther once again, a few times in fact, probably in light of the fact that he's not firing APDS rounds. I don't think, I should say, I suppose he doesn't have them unlocked, because I'm pretty sure this tank does eventually get an APDS round, and there's pretty much no reason to take AP over APDS, generally speaking. So he'll be looking forward to an upgrade in his future, I think. It could be that this tank doesn't get APDS, but I think it does eventually. Anyway, I mean, if even the Charioteer can have APDS, it seems like almost everything in the British line, once you get to mid-tier and beyond, has the old sabot round. And Hesh, those poor bastards trying to enjoy a tank game that has decided that high explosive of any kind is just not as powerful as it really is. And I've talked about it before. Gaijin have nerfed high explosive in rockets, bombs, and cannon rounds time and time again, and I think it really comes down to the fact that it's a very difficult round to balance. It was at the point way early on when American ground forces first came to the game that you could use nothing but high explosive in the Sherman 105 and just one-shot everything. And in a certain sense, it makes sense because high explosive rounds hitting very, very hard steel armor makes a lot of spalling and shrapnel, and that will disrupt the groove of your tank. But it's been difficult for Gaijin to balance things like shrapnel from explosive damage or concussive damage to tank armor, because it might not be enough to wipe out a tank completely in real life, but because of the way that War Thunder models things like crew and module damage, if you can cause damage to something inside a tank, that's usually enough to give you victory with your first hit. And I don't think Gaijin wants to end up with a scenario where high explosive rounds are more effective than armor-piercing anti-tank rounds at the same tier of the game. So that's just my theory. My guess is that high explosive rounds were a lot more reliable than Gaijin wanted them to be, and it makes sense. It's a game balancing issue, in other words. Or maybe I'm wrong. Oh my, that smoke revealed some issues, and yet one dealt with there. Only one more panther to take down. I think that was another panther. And firing blind, he finishes off the one that he had crippled, but that's not really the one that he needs to deal with. The German tanker is obligingly popping smoke to cover PewPew. And dear German tankers, just because you have them doesn't mean you need to smoke them every time. You don't need to treat your smoke canisters as a twitch reflex whenever you get shot. The enemy's going to take a few seconds to reload, so use that time to consider whether or not you should. Our scientists, we spent so much time finding out if we could pop smoke. We didn't think about whether we should pop smoke. And another enemy tank joins. This time looks like an Italian M20, M40, probably an, I don't know, it could be an M46. I get confused sometimes. I think they do they get an M26 and an M46? I can't quite remember, but both of those being American medium tanks, very effective in the game of War Thunder. I can't think off the top of my head of an American medium tank that's not a good tank, and we ran out of the good footage. Sorry, but I'll try and make it up to you next time, 420 PewPew. HEATSEEKR now brings us some kind of MiG gameplay. I'm just firing on all cylinders tonight, but I'm very unfamiliar with Russian jet aircraft. It's just not my deal. I am so spoiled by American aircraft that I want lots of guns and lots of ammunition, and you don't find either on USSR or Russian aircraft in general, and it gets even more problematic in jets. But that's not a MiG-21, right? Wait, is it? MiG-19? No, MiG-19 has the double booty. I knew about that one. Maybe this is a MiG-21. I don't know. Yeah. Probably some kind of MiG, final answer. But already, HEATSEEKR has 2 kills with the admittedly better cannons on this jet, whatever it is, than what you can find in other offerings for Oh, is this a Chinese one? I can't quite tell. Which flavor of star is that, sir? Sort yourself out, if you would. Because I don't know where to put you. But facing off against things like the American and everybody else's saber, the guns probably don't really stack up. Yes, you have good fire rate and definitely good damage with these cannons. But once again, you're held back by ammo count, and you encounter a little bit of the same issue with the 30mm Aidens available on a lot of British, French, and I think there's even some German jets, maybe some Swede boys that use them, but it's a heavy UN cannon is what it really is. And taking down another foe with some beautiful shots, closing in to close range, intercepting and just blapping that trigger, conserving ammunition, which is the bread and butter of USSR pilots from start to finish in the tree, and outspeeding his foe as he sets himself up for the next pursuit, even against an F-100 who is closing the gap now. So this is going to be a little bit different of a scenario here. F-100 very maneuverable at high speed, but far less capable at low speeds than the Sabres that it transcends in the American tree. Overshoots and gets taken down at just a perfect gap in its controllability as the foe pulled up instead of trying to maintain his energy and zoom below his target. Either way, he was going to end up with HEATSEEKR's nose. Yeah, there we go. The nose of the HEATSEEKR pointing at him in one way or another. But one of the things that I've been trying to train myself to do lately is to pull off maneuvers that conserve my energy better. And things like delayed pursuit, where the enemy pulls hard and then you just wait a while, see where they're going, plot an intercept course in your mind, and if they pull up hard, then maybe just let them pull for a while and meet them halfway. You'll still be able to intercept and you manage to save some energy. Now, in terms of an overshoot, in props, it's generally better to go for the high yo-yo to get back onto someone's tail after an overshoot, because if you have more energy, they can't follow you. It becomes an energy trap, so they can either fly straight and thus you pull above them and then drop down, conserving most of your energy. Beautiful takedown on the hunter. Again, not wasting ammunition there, but firing the shots that he needed to fire and finding the hunter in his spin to take him down for his fourth kill. Fifth one, is it coming up against the Sushi Saber? We're going to find out soon, and I'll talk some more about energy. Another thing that I've been trying to get myself to do is, when in doubt, rolling scissors. It's one of the best maneuvers in aircraft from start to finish, even at high or top tier, because it makes you difficult to hit. It conserves a lot of your energy because you're pulling in the lateral and not the vertical, so you are creating some induced drag, but you're also traveling a greater distance in straight line distance. So if your foe is not following you in the rolling scissors, then they'll end up overshooting much faster. And if they do follow you, then they're burning off just as much energy as you are, presumably. And it's very difficult to follow someone exactly in a rolling and pulling maneuvers, because roll rate and elevator authority is going to be different between different aircraft at different speeds, and just perfecting your rolling scissors is one of the most useful things you can do, both defensively and offensively, because then you can beat somebody else's scissors. That's right, scissors beats scissors in this game. And again, it's one of those great ways to conserve your energy and also either avoid an opponent or match their own maneuver to take them down. Anyway, I'm sure I'll talk more about that in the future, but what we've seen HEATSEEKR doing in this match is just look at this. He's plotting an intercept course here, and it's fairly simple to explain. You view in your head where the enemy is going to go in their turn, and you draw your own intercept course in 3 dimensions to take them down. And that's exactly what HEATSEEKR has been accomplishing, but it's easier said than done, so it takes practice, practice, practice. Anyway, the same thing goes for making YouTube videos, I suppose, and I hope you've enjoyed spending some time with me here. As always, there's a link to the Discord in the description of this video, and I look forward to seeing you there. Bye-bye.